In the marble marketplace of Delphinion, potter Gylos believed the gods sculpted chance like clay. He first saw Lady Thalia when the gods played their hand. She fell from a hayloft above, unexpected, breathless, and landed in Gylos's arms as he passed below. He looked up, smiling as if Olympus had planned it all, and whispered, "Chair, Basilissa." Gylos greeted her with courtly grace each time fate let their paths entwine. And it felt, in those breathless moments, as though destiny itself conspired with magic to choreograph their every meeting beneath the sun. Just as rain began to fall, Gylos spotted Thalia across the square, and with a tug of the linen awning, he sent its cover unfurling above her chariot, catching the first drops before they touched her hair, as if the sky itself conspired in his devotion. Another day he juggled figs beneath her window, until rose petals, hidden in amphorae above, cascaded like blush upon marble. Each prank and coincidence that he turned into laughter said the same thing. The world is clay, and joy its rightful form. At a banquet beneath golden lamps, Gylos sat across the hall, unseen by all but the fates. He whispered her name like a prayer the wind might carry. Thalia, Thalia, again and again, willing her soul to turn before her body did. And when, at last, she felt his whisper reach her across the feast, it was not their eyes that touched, but the invisible string the gods tie between those destined to find each other. No matter how silent the calling, finally, she turned, answering a whisper only her heart could hear. And in that gaze, the jest became a vow. What bloomed between them was quiet and profound, not spoken aloud, but felt in the breath between moments, as if their souls had wandered ages, only to find their way home in one another. They were wed beneath olive lanterns, their flames swaying like soft-spoken vows, each flicker a heartbeat against the hush of a world too vast to understand such stillness. The air was rich with myrrh and the hush of something eternal, the kind of peace that sorrow cannot steal, and only love, unshaken, dares to hold. And not long after, right beneath the sky unraveling with falling stars, their son, Yasin, was born, as though the cosmos itself had stopped to place a living ember into their waiting hands. 7 years later, the peace of Delphinion cracked like old marble. Iron-crested Thracians stormed the city gates, their arrival announced by the blare of bronze conches, a sound more suited to war than law. Scrolls were nailed to stone walls, stamped with crimson seals. All citizens of Ithacan descent were to be taken east, for the good of the realm, the decree read, though no soul mistook it for anything but exile. Soldiers marched street by street, faces hidden behind polished helms, pulling families from homes like weeds from soil. When they reached Gylos's stall, he stood firm, hands raised in calm surrender, while young Yasin clung to his side like a shadow made flesh. Thalia's name was not written. Her blood bore no mark of Ithaca, and yet the moment they reached for her husband and son, she moved, without pause, without permission, as if her body had already chosen long before the moment arrived. Her voice rose like a quiet vow. Where my husband and my son go, I go. A pause, brief as a breath, then the sound of shackles. Cold, final. She held out her wrists without flinching. The wagons creaked toward the mountain quarry of Scotomandra, smoke-veiled and salt-bitter. The women were led to far-off huts, their chains whispering farewell. Gylos climbed a splintered cart and lifted an abandoned conch, pressing it to his lips as if to summon a dream. "Good evening, princess," he called, softly, bravely, and his voice wandered across the stone like a lost hymn. Thalia turned, her hand rising in chains, a fragile smile blooming through tears that clung like morning to ash. That night, beside a guttering brazier, Gylos spun a game from smoke and shadow, a world of points and secret victories, where silence was strength and fear became play. He shaped it gently, not to amuse, but to veil the ruin around them, so his son might see wonder, where the world had left only ash. Gylos crouched beside Yasin, his voice low but brimming with fire. "Every task earns points," he said. Stacking wood is worth 10 points per stack. Carrying twice your ration of stones without slowing. That's 20 points. Staying hidden during inspections near the end of the game. 100 points a day. But if you get found, you lose everything. He leaned in closer, smiling like a conspirator. 1,000 points wins the grand prize. A secret bronze chariot, just for you, gleaming wheels, olive leaf banners, the whole realm watching. The boy's eyes widened. Around them, the rumor spread like wildfire through dry fields. A game spun from ash and hope. And suddenly, survival became something to win. Days later, Gylos slipped into the bell tower where a water-driven hydraulis waited. Pumping the bellows, he filled the camp with jubilant pipes and proclaimed, "Princess, our champions hold 600 points. Victory nears." Guards cursed, prisoners cheered, and Thalia's laughter, barely audible, made the dust less cruel. Winter arrived sown with rumors of Spartan rescue. Fearing a full uprising, the Thracians began thinning the ranks of the prisoners and silencing the defiant. In a night red as rust, Gylos hid Yason inside a broken wine jar near the gate. "Final level," he whispered, stroking the boy's hair. "Stay hidden till the horn of dawn. The chariot will be yours." He kissed Yason, traced Thalia's initial on the clay, and stepped into the smoke. Gylos then wandered off in search of his wife, a quiet ache guiding his steps through the dusk. But before he could reach her, a captain's hand clamped down, and a spear pressed between his shoulders, not with rage, but with the cold finality of duty. The march toward execution began, long as memory and twice as heavy. They passed the kiln where Gylos once shaped bowls. Crimson embers recalled the wedding lanterns. He whispered to them, "Do you still burn for my bride?" Oil lamps revealed corridors littered with bodies that no philosophy could revive. Yet Marcus Aurelius's words lingered in his mind like ancient whispers. "Reject your sense of injury and the injury itself disappears." He straightened, transformed shackles into bracelets of duty. Thalia appeared behind a fence of pikes, her face hollow, her eyes entire galaxies of grief. He bowed, clownish, crossed his eyes, and called softly, "Score. 990. The guards thought madness. Thalia understood. Sacrifice sustaining itself on humor. Snow began to fall, each flake a silent witness. At the slaughter wall the captain halted. Time dilated, torches crackled like distant applause. Gylos's breath smoked prayers. He pictured Yason curled in the jar counting heartbeats, and Thalia in the dusk stitching courage from memory. He resolved to leave them one final sculpture, a death shaped like delight. Turning to Thalia, he goose-stepped absurdly, boots squeaking. He blew an invisible trumpet. He shouted, "We have won." The spear entered his back, slow, deliberate, as though the steel, too, wished to weep. Pain flowered scarlet. He fell to knees. In dust he drew with shaking finger the outline of a chariot, crowned it with olive leaves, and, smiling, laid his cheek upon the earth. The world exhaled. Darkness closed like a kiln. Dawn horn blasts shattered the hush. Spartan hoplites stormed Scotomandra. Yason crawled from the jar and was lifted onto a real bronze chariot. Prize captured from the fleeing Thracians. He cried, "We won." The chariot rumbled toward the women's compound. Thalia stumbled forward, chains broken. Mother and son collided, sobbing amid ringing steel. Yason searched for his father, but Thalia, sensing the wound, pointed to the sky, whispering, "He is light now." Years later, an olive tree pushed its roots through the stones of the slaughter wall. Beneath it Yason recited to pilgrims, "My father taught that life, like clay, takes the shape we give our gaze." Tears fell in silence, yet wonder lit the gaze. For in that moment, they grasped the Stoic truth. Beauty is not absence of sorrow but mastery of response.